intro stage, nothing here to do other than beat the level, but this stage should get you acclimated with the fact that X can now dash without the use of the foot parts, but other than that, none of X's upgrades from the last game carry over to this one. So, which stage of X2 do I start with? Well, that would be none other than Wire Sponge's level. When dropping in, jump into this corner up here and you'll be rewarded with the first of 8 heart tanks, which increase X's health by 2 units per each one. I usually don't like to repeat myself between videos in a series, however with these being guide videos, I think it's important for each installment to stand on their own. There are ways to use special weapons to alter the weather of this level, but we don't have any of those right now, so it's not really a factor. At this platform, dash jump over to this wall and get on top of these platforms on the far side and you'll find the first sub-tank, which under the classic series is E-tanks, refill X's health, but are a permanent upgrade that you refill when collecting health ups when you're at full health. Reserve energy, if that makes any sense. With that said, that's actually all there is to this stage. Just get to the end, obliterate the Maverick, and warp out with his weapon, the Strike Chain. That'll be put into good use in our next level, Wheel Gator's level. This level's a really cool set piece as a tank is tearing through the city, and X, like a superhero, just dives in and takes care of business. Right at the beginning, these infinitely respawning enemies can make for a good sub-tank or weapon energy farming spot if you need one. But here you will see that this wall clearly houses an upgrade, and there are 2 ways to approach this. First is using the foot parts, however we need the weapon of this stage to get that, so we'll instead use the Strike Chain to latch onto the wall and get it that way. Now, I feel like it's a really precise jump, and will probably take a couple of tries, as it still does for me, but you'll get it soon enough and be rewarded with one of X's most badass weapons of all time, the arm parts of the second armor. Using these is devastating. You get 2 charge shots that blow through shields and boss invincibility frames. Strike Chain is the weakness of Wheel Gator, but I'd rather use the arm parts, it's way more powerful. Later in the stage we have a heart tank above a wall of spikes. Here you should be using a charged speed burner, but we advanced least backtracking players take advantage of this enemy, get hurt, and use the invincibility frames from his attack to jump over the spikes and get the heart tank, thus clearing the stage of the upgrades. At this point, the game's primary villains will take X's defeat into their own hands. The X-Hunters, Sergei's, Violin, and Agile. They'll spawn in different levels depending on where you are in the game. This run will be defeating them to get Zero's parts, as this is X's only chance of getting his best friend back from the brink. Now that we have the arm parts, X2 actually opens up quite a bit. There are numerous ways to complete this game without backtracking or with minimal backtracking, as X2 has a wide variety of methods used to collect its upgrades, so that's not to say what I'm doing today is the only way, it's just what I do. Leading up to Flame Stag's level, here make sure this flying enemy does not destroy the weak wall, and instead use it to rise up to the nearby cliff and get the second sub-tank. During the rising lava section, grabbing the heart tank with the spinning wheel weapon should be a snap. Later, when the weak wall obstacle occurs again, this time you should get it destroyed, gaining access to Sergei's boss fight, as you actually have to find the X-Hunters' secret boss rooms to fight against them. But be careful, as if you travel to a stage they're in and don't find them while also beating that stage, you'll lose your chance to face that X-Hunter. After Sergei's and Stag are defeated, I personally choose to go to Overdrive Ostrich's stage. Here, the Ride Chaser bike makes its debut. Not really put to much use, but it's fun for what it's worth. Now, you can use a charged speed burner to do this, but if you want a chance to not die in the process, you need to make sure that the Ride Chaser does not explode before reaching this point, and turning while on top of these spikes just at the right time to avoid dying. If you do die from the spikes, no big loss, the checkpoint's right next to it, and you won't have to recollect the heart tank if you got it. Right after that, using the spinning wheel, you can get access to the foot parts, which allow X to dash in midair. Nothing too exciting about this, but it is welcome for platforming. With that said, beating the Maverick is all that remains for this level. Now, I really like to avoid fighting an X-Hunter in this stage if I can, but I can't for this run, so I'll travel to Bubble Crab's level. I don't like fighting X-Hunters in this stage because of the added pressure to perform. This fish tank is on patrol, and if it finishes its route before you destroy it, then you can't fight the X-Hunter, but if you consistently wail at its weak spots, this should not be a big problem. The giga attack you get from the body parts also kills this thing in one hit if you were curious. But back to the beginning of the stage, on the far wall where the tank arrives, climb up and jump off and you'll see a rising platform that leads to the heart tank. Now, I thought you needed Bubble Crab's weapon for this, as it's what you're supposed to do, in quotes, but this is the moment that makes X2 a game you can complete without backtracking at all. Being underwater in a classic X, Zero, or ZX game allows the player character to jump really high, and doing this in Bubble Crab's level from a specific angle on the ground allows you to reach this wall and mash the jump button and to skip on top of the water and climb up and get the sub-tank. After this stage is over, make your way to Crystal Snail's stage. Early on, you need to make use of this ride armor to jump over this pit and use the strike chain at just the right pixel and you'll reach the platform with the heart tank. Further into the stage, there's another large chasm that you can fall into that houses the head parts of the second armor, which scan for secret item locations. I can't say I find this ability useful at all because I don't. But that's all for the collectibles in this stage. You can lock the boss fight into a pattern by dashing towards him using your standard lemon pellets, which do the damage of a charge shot when dashing under his attack, dashing backwards, and forwards again to repeat the process. More from our stage. This enemy before the entrance to the trash compactor will allow you to use Crystal Snail's weapon on it to use him as a platform to reach the heart tank. A few feet from there, the spinning wheel will crack the ground and allow you to find the body parts of the second armor, which reduces damage but can convert that damage into energy for the giga attack. For the two mini-bosses here, this is my strategy. Spam the bubble attack on the first phase, causing it to die in no time, and while it's blowing up, switch to the sonic slicer and charge it up. You'll then kill the second phase before it even has a chance to hit the ground. Last Maverick stage, Magna Centipede. When the searchlights are not in alert mode, use the charged speed burner to hit this thing hanging from the ceiling and climb up and find the last heart tank. If you aren't quick with this next one, you'll have to do it my way. When you reach this part with a small drop in a pit, stand at the highest vantage point, dash off the platform, and use a charged speed burner, and then, when it ends, use an air dash to make the ledge and climb up for the last sub-tank, as a charged sonic slicer reduces this CX4 chip boss to scrap. Since the last X-Hunter is in this stage, haul ass to the end of the bottom floor when you make it there to get the boss door before it's sealed off, and battle Agile, who is in my opinion the easiest of the X-Hunters. Using Morph Moth's weapon on Magna Centipede takes his ability to take your moves away from him, so definitely use that. Having said that, the Maverick stages of X2 are covered. As I said, no backtracking. I wasn't lying. Leaving only the castle stages. Use the charged bubble attack on the violin refight. It tears him apart for some reason. Use the giga attack on the first part of the Sergis refight and it will destroy his front machine before it has the chance to do anything, and then stand underneath him using a charged sonic slicer until he dies. It's here in the third stage where things get more interesting. Ignore these floating platforms and play like me. Then use the crystal weapon to freeze this bat so that you can gain access to the ladder above, making your way to this wall of spikes. You need to carefully air dash and then speed burner through it. It's tricky, but the reward is worth it, as clinging to the wall will reveal a hidden passage with a final light capsule. He's not worthy for how strong X is, granting you the Shoryuken, another Street Fighter move that has the potential to kill enemies in one hit if timed correctly. Using this, you'll no doubt tear through Agile and the boss rush, leaving you with the final Sigma level. Defeating the X-Hunters in the Maverick stages means that we don't have to battle Zero here to get him back to the good side, as X tackles Sigma for the second time, saving the day with Zero back at his side, ending Mega Man X2. An incredibly fun game to play with versatile, open-ended design, great soundtrack, and so on. It's an instant classic and another great game, one of my favorite franchises. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the X3 guide video.